There are many different types of supports who make the laning phase of an AD carry significantly easier in their own way. Some of them by healing their carry, others by dealing some damage on the enemy hyper carry or catching them in order to allow their own carry to deal some damage. And then there is Camille Support, a top laner that has a really strong engage over a huge distance that can barely be dodged, since you never know if she is going to jump on the carry or on the support. And once Camille is right next to you, you are in big trouble, since not only is this champion tanky as hell, she is also capable of dealing a solid amount of damage and has a cage where she can trap the enemy AD carry. A place where he can't escape all the incoming damage. But there are a few things you need to know before you are capable of making use of this pick perfectly. At level 1, Camille is going to purchase a steel shoulder guard and 2 health potions. The first skill should be used to skill the E spell, which is her famous dash against the wall move, and jump into a certain direction by recasting it. This spell won't be very helpful during the leash, but it's a great escaping tool when you suddenly get invaded. Even after getting hooked, this spell still helps you to get out of this sticky situation, and you really need this spell for the level 1 engage. Depending on the matchup, you should be careful when you want to engage as a Camille at this early stage of the game, but most of the time you should be fine to go. After all, you are still a top laner with solid base stats. The perfect time to strike would be when the enemy supporter feels a little bit too confident and tries to poke both of you down. But Camille's engage range should not be underestimated. The E-dash towards the wall range is already crazy enough, but the wall jump range towards the enemy is even more ridiculous. It's the perfect engage tool and you can't really miss it. When you manage to hit an opponent with the E spell, he gets stunned for a short duration and Camille gets a 40% attack speed bonus for 5 seconds. But there is still one big problem left. The E spell allows Camille to engage on the enemy who is standing far away, but the AD carry isn't capable to follow up that quick. The stun duration of the E spell isn't long enough. So how is Camille capable of winning a trade in a 1v2 situation? Well, the secret lies in her passive. It is a shield, which has a shielding strength equal to 20% of Camille's max HP and lasts for about 2 seconds. The problem is that she has 2 types of passive shields. One of them protects her from a D damage and the other one from a P damage. And you activate the shield by auto-attacking the enemy, and based on the damage type he deals, you get the shield that protects her from his damage. The problem is that most of the time there are 2 enemies on this lane, and it doesn't help at all when you get an AP shield by auto-attacking Lulu, and still lose HP because the Jinx next to her keeps shooting at you. So always make sure to auto-attack that guy who is more likely to attack back and thus deal more damage. But therefore he needs to stay inside Camille auto-attack range. Luckily this problem can be fixed when this champion reaches level 2 and unlocks the Q spell. By activating it, Camille gets a lot of buffs that help hitting her auto-attack on the right target to get the shield she wants. First of all, this ability increases her auto-attack range by 50, and also gives her 20% more movement speed when you hit somebody. The auto-attack also deals more damage and you can recast it and deal even more damage. This is her main damage source and makes sure that Camille wins the trade against these morons. But the best time to engage would be after hitting level 3 and being able to make use of all of her basic abilities. The W spell is also a good tool to engage on the enemy. Camille sweeps her legs into the target direction and create a zone where you want to make sure to hit the outer part on the enemy. Not only does this thing deals more damage, but also slows the enemy by 80%, which decays over 2 seconds, making it easier for your carry to reach them. But the even better way to engage would be to hit the Q spell first in order to get that 20% more movement speed, which makes it easier to hit the W spell afterwards, and let them feel the auto attack damage of Camille. And just disengage with the E spell when things get a little bit too dangerous, or use it to utilize even more damage. A simple combo would be auto attack into Q, which can be used as an auto attack reset. Then use the W spell, E against the wall, auto attack and cancel the animation with the Q spell recast. Just make sure to only engage when your passive shield is up to make the trade even better. It has a cooldown of 20 seconds. But this can only be pulled off when the enemy is standing right next to you. The most common engage would still be the one where you use the E spell first, since most of the time this is the only way Camille is capable to reach the enemy at D carry. And then just do the same auto attack reset with the Q spell while the enemy is stunned. Slow them with the W spell and do the same thing again. Nevertheless, there are a few tough matchups for our robot girl, for example when they have a jump to escape, just like Tristana and Rakan. But this doesn't have to be the end of the world. Well, at least not for you. Your AD carry has to deal with that lane, but we can just roam and collect some assists somewhere else. When they haven't placed a ward, Camille can just walk towards them and slow the enemy with the W spell. And when the enemy flashes away, you can still catch them with a Spider-Man-like swing. But most of the time you can just engage with the E spell and you can be sure to collect an assist. The mobility you get with the E spell is just insane. That's also the reason why Camille can always perfectly help the jungler during the river fights, since you can be sure to have prio when you have the E spell as a gap closer. And with that slow, no one can escape from that fight. Speaking of not escaping, as soon as Camille reaches level 6, she unlocks her major power spike where she basically creates an arena where it is impossible for the enemy AD carry to get out of it. He can't flash out or use any kind of other abilities. So it's just like a Mordekaiser ult but with one major difference. Your allies are still allowed to attack the trapped target. That means when you have managed to ult the enemy carry, your own AD carry can throw in his entire combo and the enemy can't dodge it. The perfect tool to prevent your opponent from escaping the fight with 10 HP left or when he tries to deny a fight. There is just one problem. Camille has to stay right next to the opponent in order to cast the ultimate on them, and most AD carries try to stay as far away from the enemy support as possible. Luckily, Camille has her E-spell in order to get right next to her opponent. She is even capable of catching overextending enemies and trap them long enough until your carry can get rid of them. But the ultimate can also be used the other way around, in order to save your own ADC from some damage by trapping the enemy carry and forcing them to stay with you and kill them after they missed all their spells. But when you think that Camille Support is only good for trapping an opponent with her cage, you are dead wrong. She is still a top laner with high base stats and capable of dealing a lot of damage since we are going to max her Q spell first and Camille can still make use of her Sheen proc. So once she is in the middle of the enemy bot lane, she can get rid of both champions. Another great tool of the ultimate is that Camille becomes untargetable for a short amount of time after casting the ultimate. So it can also be used to dodge key abilities of the enemy bot lane and thus deny some crucial damage. The trapping mechanic, however, can also be used during roams or river fights. To be honest, whenever you want to secure a kill for your team, making all their abilities useless that might have saved them. Late game, you should try to focus the enemy hyper carry with this ability. Once he is trapped, your whole team can demolish him or Camille just forces her to focus all the incoming damage on her, just to give her teammates some time to get rid of the others. The other task of Camille Support would be being annoying as fuck since she can dash around, survive a lot of damage thanks to her passive shield and W spell healing, and also buys Sterax, which provides her with another shield that makes this champion even stronger. Here are the build and runes for Camille Support. And if you want to know why there is Warwick being played on the support with Ghost and Cleanse, and is able to ult across a quarter of the map, click on this video right here.